You need a Kleenex?
No, I got a tie.
Outstanding. Good evening. We will call the December 3rd, 2020 council meeting to order. Welcome everybody tonight. We've got a beautiful evening outside. If you desire to speak on any issue, if you could come and get a comment card and fill that out for us, just for public record, we would appreciate it. I would ask for everybody in chambers to stand for the invocation given by Father Bob Zwick of St. Francis of Assisi, Old Catholic Church.
Good evening, let us pray. Heavenly Father, and God of all peace, we invite you to preside over this meeting. May there be an embracing unity of spirit. Help these good council members to each listen politely to others, sharing all points of view while striving to serve the greater good. Amid all the calamity, the conflict, and confusion that screams for our leaders' attention, we pray our council members will be filled with your Spirit, Father, so they may serve with a special love of community that includes measures of safety for all of our citizens and visitors. Guide and inspire them with the words of St. John the 23rd. In essential matters, let there be unity. In non-essential matters, let there be freedom. In all matters, let there be charity. We ask all this in your glorious name, Father. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Father Zwick. We appreciate you giving those inspiring words and challenge.
You want to have a test?
No?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. If I could introduce the dais, on my far right is City Manager Bill Horn.
Good evening.
Councilmember Bunker.
Good evening.
Councilmember Hamilton.
Good evening.
Vice Mayor Albritton.
Hello.
Councilmember Beckman.
Good evening.
And our illustrious City Attorney, Pam Macon.
Good evening.
We have a presentation by Ed Thieb this evening for Clearwater Going Home. Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. I may take my mask down.
You may. Just don't spit at us.
Do not have the intention to do that. Good evening, members of the council. It is my honor to represent the Going Home Coalition, and very grateful for the opportunity to introduce to all of you the good work that the Going Home Coalition is doing. For the past 2.5 years, the coalition has been singularly focused on reducing homelessness in Clearwater. I would like to introduce to you some of the 8 members of the coalition and give you a brief understanding of the role that they play as part of this pipeline that we've created. A pipeline that takes someone off the streets, gives them transitional housing, gives them support services, gives them training, and gives them permanent housing. I'll start by saying that St. Vincent de Paul Community Kitchen and Resource Center and its thrift store are essential to this coalition. If you can imagine coming off the street, being given keys to an affordable housing unit, but having nothing, it's very important that the thrift store be integral to what we're doing to provide all of the essentials that you need to be able to live in your unit. So they are also providing morning feedings, and they also administer the STARS program, which is part of that training program, helping them find work during the course of the training. Carol Purcell, Chrissy Bond, and Pete Scalia are our contacts for that organization. The Joy of Gospel Ministry is another member of the coalition. Their program is called Homeward Bound. They are focused on allowing those who are interested, that are homeless, to be reunited with their caregivers or their family anywhere in the country. And over the past 2.5 years, over 20 individuals have come off the streets of Clearwater and been relocated with their families. John C. is the contact for that particular organization, and they also are involved with evening feedings in the city of Clearwater. We have Peace Memorial Presbyterian Church involved with their evening feedings, as we know, and most recently have been doing the cold shelter activities for the homeless, and have been providing their facility to host meetings for the coalition. When we first started up as a coalition, we would meet in driveways, parking lots, backyards of some of the projects that we were involved with. And over time, we have migrated to be able to be hosted by Pastor Bob Scott at the church, which is a blessing for everyone. The next group is called the Homeless Empowerment Program, HEP. They are a very much important part of this pipeline because transitional housing, which is up to 30 days of housing, is a key element as they move off the street and get into the support services and the case management that the homeless are looking for. Most recently, we met with the city manager and the Department of Police Department to talk about the homeless that were being displaced because of the library and the park being closed. And one of the outcomes of that meeting was the coalition's recommendation based on Zach White's recommendation from HEP that they be positioned as the first responders so that anyone that's involved in the homeless needs, particularly the group that were part of the park and the library area, could be served by HEP in a 30-day kind of period with the transitional housing and everything as first responders. So that was an outcome from a most recent meeting we had with the city manager. The Church of Scientology is a member of this coalition. They provide public relations and social media that helps tell the story of the coalition. Many nonprofits, probably the characteristic of most nonprofits engaged in service, is that they prefer to shine the light on the service that they're providing, not themselves. And so it was very important for the coalition to be able to capture some of the success stories and some of the projects that we were engaged in from the beginning. As a result, we've created a web page called goinghomeclearwater.org, and you can go to that web page and find all the information you need about this coalition and the activities. The Refuge Church is involved with daily feedings for the homeless. They are involved with employment referral and hygiene support, as well as helping solicit volunteers. The homeless have helped transform the Lake Bellevue neighborhood, and I'm going to talk to you about that in a minute. And Sean Powers and Michelle Powers from the Refuge Church helped bring the volunteers from that church, the homeless, to be involved in that project. The Community Service Foundation, I'm the executive director of the Community Service Foundation. We provide permanent housing. Permanent housing would be where you would sign a one-year lease, much more stable, long-term housing arrangement. We're involved with affordable housing, and we've dedicated 11 rental properties and units specifically for the Going Home Coalition. And the last group is called Fresh Start, and that is a mentoring organization. Herb Schlulenberg is the point of contact, and we recognize that it's just not enough to give the homeless a set of keys after pushing them through the pipeline. We want to surround them with support services so that they can continue to be supported as they transition through that process. So those are the 8 members of the Going Home Coalition. And if I could take a minute just to tell you briefly about the impact that they have made. A couple weeks ago, some of you attended the Lake Bellevue neighborhood intersection painting, and I appreciate your coming out to see us. When you were there, your focus was probably on the Woodlawn MLK intersection and the big mural that was being put down on the street. And may not have looked beyond that. But if you did, you might not have seen much different than any other neighborhood. And that's a good thing. I can tell you that about 3 years ago, that might not have been the same case. The properties that we have taken over on that corner, we now call Tiemann Village. And that is the property that Duke Tiemann used to own. At one point, they were neglected. Our friends from code enforcement had all types of liens put on them. It was a part of the blight that was in the Lake Bellevue neighborhood. Across the street was the laundromat that had criminal activity that was going back and forth between the house and the laundromat. We had, if you may recall, we had a shooting there in the parking lot. We had a mugging during the day. We had all kinds of activity that just wasn't lending itself to be a safe neighborhood for the Lake Bellevue area. We work closely with the chief of police, the community police, the neighborhood association, to try to transform that neighborhood. A piece of that puzzle was Tiemann Village. We took volunteers from Refuge Church, along with Sean Powers and a contractor. We renovated that property. We had all types of support that came from the community. And if you were there the other day, you would have noticed beautiful landscaping that was provided by a business that contributed all of the resources to make sure that the fence was put up, the trees were trimmed, and new landscaping was put in. Everything was repainted, everything was restuccoed, and everything was redone inside and out by the homeless volunteers. That was phase one of the coalition's efforts to create housing. Phase two was a project just down the street on Myrtle. It was a triplex. Our foundation worked with contractors and our maintenance staff to renovate that property. And the third phase is underway. It's still, it's almost at completion. We're at Tangerine Street. We have a duplex that was donated, and working with the city, we are transforming that duplex so that we will have two homeless that will be hoping to be residing there before the holidays. So it's getting real close. So when we talk about impact that the coalition is making, these are tangible things that are not only impacting individuals one by one, but we're helping transform the neighborhoods as well. I'd like to just say in closing that in the past 2 years, over 90 homeless have been impacted through this program, in which they've now received housing. Or they have been given the opportunity to get back home through the Homeward Bound program. And we're not looking to stand still. We recently have filed articles of incorporation with the state. We're seeking 501(c) status so that we can be more formalized as an organization. So I welcome you to continue to support the Going Home Coalition. We look forward to continuing to work with the city to be a resource to help and for the general public, if they're interested in coming alongside what we're doing, you're welcome as well as we reduce homelessness one by one. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Thieb, for the presentation and all you're doing with the homelessness. Any questions?
I think they're doing a great job.
Are you keeping statistics about how many people, how you're actually breaking the chain of homelessness?
We are. We're going to be publishing an annual report
Okay.
within the next month.
Very good.
And we'll be able to share that with everyone.
Well, we look forward to continuing to work with you.
Thank you for your support.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I would ask if, oh, and by the way, I saw Duke Tiemann on Veterans Day, and he said hello to everybody. He was kind of the godfather of Lake Bellevue for many, many years and orchestrated the dinner of thanks that he brought the firefighters and police officers and everybody else. Just a wonderful man. Any amendments for the minutes of November 19th, 2020?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. This time I'd like to open it up to citizens to be heard. If you are in the audience and would like to speak to an item that is not on the agenda, please come forward. We ask you to fill out a comment card and state your name for the record. No takers?
Let me
Good evening, folks. My name's Anita L. Rice, and I would like to share with the city here, and thanks to the gentleman that spoke before me, because I too, like he, is also concerned about the homelessness in our city. I want to make one comment about homelessness, and that has to do with me being an LPN as a nurse. The very first word that I learned is dignity, and that has stuck with me throughout my whole career and throughout my volunteer work. I also volunteer as well as with my little boss behind me at Peace Memorial Church, and we help with cold night shelter, we help with feeds, we help with clothing. We try to do the best that we can with what we have because we're given donations and we spread them out evenly. But I want to reiterate what the gentleman said in front of me. We do need shelter for the homeless. We do need job training. It's very, very important. We have people out there that are quite skilled, quite willing to work, and people out there that are of retirement age that do need housing. So we have all ages of homelessness. With COVID-19 going on, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't want babies and seniors living out in the streets. I don't think that our city wants that. So we need to do like Elon Musk has done. He has gone into his company and counted all the pencils that they bought and told his employees that they have to reduce their spending and spend well. So that's what our city has to do, is the monies that we have to use the monies wisely. We have enough here as far as recreation and parks and so on and so forth. Not that we don't need to keep our city beautified, but it is beautiful. But the monies have to be used wisely. If it's tunneled towards skilled people, and these people want to work, they want a hand up, not a handout. They truly do. There's a lot of people out there that have college and university degrees.
Ma'am, thank you.
And I appreciate you allowing me to speak.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you for your time.
Anyone else for citizens to be heard?
My name is Ken Sasso, and I've been in Clearwater now for 34 years. My property address is 1660 Illinois Road in Clearwater, Florida. Due to certain circumstances at this point, I'm forced to sell my house. And there's been a problem ongoing for the last 30 years with the property that sits directly behind me. There really hasn't been anybody living there that whole time. And the whole rear of the property, the caged-in pool and everything is sunken in, and it's terrible. And what I'm up against now is the fact that that's devaluing my property, and when I try to sell it, I'm going to lose money. And I don't understand why this hasn't been taken care of. I spoke to the assistant attorney today for the city, and he filled me in on a little bit about what's going on, but I don't know. A year and a half ago, I left Clearwater to go back to Pennsylvania to help my elderly parents. They're both 88 years old. While I was up there, I got caught in the pandemic, and I really couldn't get back down here. But in mid-October, I got a letter from the city of Clearwater that was citing 3 code violations on my property. One was the height of the grass. The other was the swimming pool that was green, hadn't been taken care of. And there was a vehicle parked in my driveway that was out of registration, or the tags were expired on it. And when I received that letter up there in Pennsylvania, I immediately picked the phone up and called the inspector down there in Florida and spoke to him. And I explained to him where I was and what was going on, that I would be down here as soon as I could. And that I would keep in touch with him via email, every step of the way, so he knew I was coming down to correct the problem. So I got on a plane and came down here, and over a matter of about 2 weeks, I corrected the problems. And I'm still working on the property to get it ready for sale. I'm getting real close. But again, the realtor that came in my house the other day walked to the back of the house where the sliding glass doors are that go into the Florida room, and she saw what was on the other side of the fence that's in my backyard. And she told me, she said, listen, you're never going to get what this property value is worth with that thing sitting there like that. And she said, I don't understand why the city's never done anything about it. I mean, it's been going on for 30 years. I talked to them 30 years ago, and all I could really get done was that they would cut the grass. They said they couldn't do anything else. Okay. But I just wanted to be on record.
Mr. Sasso, is it? Mr. Sasso?
Yes.
Okay, did you fill out a card?
No.
Can you fill out a card
Sure.
with your name, address, and phone number? And then we will have somebody contact you, not only about your issues, but about the issue with the house behind you.
Okay.
Can you do that? Thank you, sir. Ma'am?
Hi, my name is Barbara Lang. How is everybody? I'm here to speak about the homeless crisis in Clearwater. I belong to Peace Memorial Presbyterian Church. I'm in charge of our clothing closet. I also work with Joy of the Gospel Ministries, and I also know Ed Phoebe from going to all the Going Home Coalition meetings. I'm just going to say the situation is pretty tragic out there. We were able to pull off a cold night shelter, God only knows how, the other night, with the help of a lot of people. I think the city needs to do a lot more to help with the homeless crisis. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, and for all you do for the homeless. Anyone else for citizens to be heard? All right, seeing none, are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda by either council members or citizens? Items 7.1 through 7.6. Hearing and seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move approval of the consent agenda 7.1 through 7.6.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 8.1.
Ordinance number 9396-20. An ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, annexing certain real property located on the south side of Bernice Drive, approximately 1,650 feet west of South Belcher Road. This post office address is 2079 Bernice Drive, Clearwater, Florida 33764, into the corporate limits of the city, and redefining the boundary lines of the city to include said addition, providing an effective date.
Anyone from the public to speak to this item? Have a motion?
I move to adopt ordinance 9396-20 on second reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 8.2.
Ordinance number 9397-20, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the city to designate the land use for certain real property located on the south side of Bernice Drive, approximately 1,650 feet west of South Belcher Road. This post office address is 2079 Bernice Drive, Clearwater, Florida 33764. Upon annexation into the City of Clearwater as residential low, RL, and water drainage feature, providing an effective date.
Anyone from the public to speak to this ordinance? Motion?
Make a motion to adopt ordinance 9397-20 on second reading.
Oh, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 8.3.
Ordinance number 9398-20, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the zoning atlas of the city by zoning certain real property located on the south side of Bernice Drive, approximately 1,650 feet west of South Belcher Road, whose post office address is 2079 Bernice Drive, Clearwater, Florida 33764, upon annexation into the City of Clearwater as low-medium density residential, LMDR, providing an effective date.
Anyone from the public to speak to this ordinance? Have a motion?
I move to adopt ordinance 939820 on second reading.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 8.4.
Ordinance number 9429-20, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, vacating a 30-foot right-of-way easement described as the south 280 feet of the east 30 feet of the following described tract. Commence at the northeast corner of Gulf to Bay Gardens as recorded in Plat Book 50, page 60, Public Records of Pinellas County, Florida. Run thence south 89 degrees, 57 minutes, 24 seconds east, a distance of 200.00 feet to the point of beginning. Thence south 89 degrees, 57 minutes, 24 seconds east, a distance of 100.00 feet. Thence south 00 degrees, 20 minutes, and 15 seconds east, a distance of 300.00 feet. Thence north 89 degrees, 57 minutes, 24 seconds west, a distance of 100.00 feet. Thence north 00 degrees, 20 minutes, 15 seconds west, a distance of 300 feet to the point of beginning as recorded in OR Book 5870, page 761 of the Public Records of Pinellas County, Florida, providing an effective date.
Anyone from the public to speak to this item? Motion?
I move that we adopt ordinance 9429-20 on second reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 8.5.
Ordinance number 9430-20, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, vacating the 20-foot drainage and utility easement and 15-foot drainage and utility easement described as the north 20 feet and south 15 feet of the following described tract. Commence at the northeast corner of Gulf to Bay Gardens, as recorded in Plat Book 50, page 60, Public Records of Pinellas County, Florida. Run thence south 89 degrees, 57 minutes, 24 seconds east, a distance of 200.00 feet to the point of beginning. Thence south 89 degrees, 57 minutes, 24 seconds east, a distance of 100.00 feet. Thence south 00 degrees, 20 minutes, 15 seconds east, a distance of 300.00 feet. Thence north 89 degrees, 57 minutes, 24 seconds west, a distance of 100.00 feet. Thence north 00 degrees, 20 minutes, 15 seconds west, a distance of 300 feet to the point of beginning, as recorded in OR Book 5858, page 1589 of the Public Records of Pinellas County, Florida, providing an effective date.
Anyone from the public to speak to item 8.5? Motion?
I move to adopt ordinance 9430-20 on second reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Ms. Aiken's happy to see those in the rearview mirror. 8.6.
I sure am. Ordinance number 9431-30, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, vacating portions of a 15-foot drainage and utility easement and a 10-foot drainage and utility easement described as the east 15 feet of the west 545 feet of the southwest 1/4 of the northwest 1/4 of Section 17, Township 29 South, Range 16 East, less the south 285 feet and the east 10 feet of the west 730 feet of the southwest 1/4 of the northeast 1/4 of Section 17, Township 29 South, Range 16 East, less the south 330 feet, as recorded in OR Book 4082, page 117 of the Public Records of Pinellas County, Florida, providing an effective date.
Anyone from the public to speak to item 8.6? A motion?
Motion to adopt ordinance 9431-20 on second reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 8.7.
Ordinance number 9432-20, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, vacating a 20-foot drainage and utility easement described as the north 20 feet of the east 200 feet of the west 730 feet of the southwest 1/4 of the northeast 1/4 of Section 17 Township 29 South, Range 16 East, as recorded in OR Book 5950, page 1028 of the Public Records of Pinellas County, Florida, providing an effective date.
Anyone from the public to speak to this item? Motion?
I move we adopt ordinance 9432-20 on second reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 9.1.
Disapprove construction manager at risk proposal from Skanska Inc. of Tampa, Florida for the renovations of the Clearwater Main Library for Imagine Clearwater at the guaranteed maximum price of $6,420,156.69 and authorize the appropriate officials to execute same. Mr. Dell.
Mayor, Council, Michael Delk, Assistant City Manager. With Monday's identification of our final version of our park redevelopment plan that we refer to as Imagine Clearwater, having matched our financial resources to our number one priority, the relevance of library renovations is no longer critical or instrumental to the success of that park redevelopment. Therefore, we recommend that we retain those allocated resources to our primary objective, which is the redevelopment of Coachman Park, and that you disapprove this item.
Any questions for Mr. Delk or Ms. Obermeyer? Councilmember Beckman.
Are we going, I think on Monday, it was mentioned that there may be some small modifications to the library's main floor?
Yes, our library director and her staff are working on a plan to change some procedural and layout functions of the library. The purpose of that will be to emphasize the first floor as a more customer service oriented facility, moving some of the quieter zones up to the upper floors. I think that that is seen as a definite advantage. And also, as part of that renovation, I think they anticipate, in conjunction with the reduction in some of the some of the disposition that they've been going through, that they will open up the first floor to have a much more prominent view towards the park and the improvements that we're getting ready to make. But we will bring you a final plan for what those process and procedural changes will look like from a customer service standpoint after the first of the year.
And you're not expecting them to be significantly expensive?
No, it may be designed around, as much as anything, furniture changes appropriate to lower stacks of books and a more activated first floor area for customer service and that sort of programming or process improvements. Not any substantive changes to the structure of the building.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
So, Mr. Delp, will the library be open as they're doing these kind of changes?
I think right now we're planning on working towards a potential reopening of the library on December 14th, and we're trying to finish up some of the disposition of materials and the organization of that prior to the reopening. And I think I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on your.
Janelle Meyer, Library Director, you are correct. We are going to be reopening to the public on December 14th, the week of December 14th. So we're looking forward to that. We just need to bring back staff and equipment and get the library ready. So.
Any other questions from Ms. Obermeyer?
Is the bookstore going to be open too about that time? Is that going to be?
That's a good question. I have a meeting with the Friends of the Library president next week. So I don't know the status of that. That's one of my questions.
Okay.
So, but I'm pretty sure they're going to reopen.
thank you for all the work and all the shifting of gears throughout this process. I'm sure it's been a little taxing for you and the staff.
Oh, we're willing to be flexible.
I know, but that doesn't mean it isn't a pain in the neck. Okay.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Thanks.
Anyone from the public to speak to item 9.1? Do I have a motion?
Move approval of agenda item 9.1, which is to disapprove the library renovations.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 9.2.
Approve the Fort Harrison Avenue Complete Streets Study Final Report, a complete streets concept plan for Fort Harrison Avenue from Bel Air Road to North Myrtle Avenue. Authorize transmittal to Forward Pinellas and other jurisdictions for the completion of the Forward Pinellas Complete Streets Grant Program Agreement. Approved via Resolution 19-09 and adopt Resolution 20-37. Ms. Matzke.
Good evening, Lauren Matzke, Planning and Development. I know that we went through slides during the work session, so I'm still gonna, if it's okay, I'll still run through them for the public, but I'll do my best to keep it quick. So this is for the Fort Harrison Avenue Complete Streets Project, which was funded in part by a grant from Forward Pinellas. Mark Suarez was here from HDR. He was the project manager on behalf of the consulting team who presented. We'll cover these three topics really briefly: what are complete streets, and a recap of the project, and then a run through of the different planning level concepts. So complete streets are about providing safe and comfortable travel options to people of all ages and abilities. So this does not mean that every street needs to have facilities for every mode of transportation, which is something we did discuss briefly at work session. As an example, the presence of bike lanes alone on the street does not make necessarily a comfortable environment that people of all ages or abilities would feel comfortable using. So the city is fortunate to have moved forward on a complete streets implementation plan that sets forth a framework and guiding principles for our work in this field, and the concepts presented here are consistent with those guiding principles. These are some of the design strategies that cities use when they look to calm traffic and start to accommodate more modes other than just vehicular traffic. Some of the benefits these collectively provide include slower and safer streets, aesthetic improvements, support for local businesses, and livability improvements. Demonstration projects allow cities to use less expensive materials, sometimes even just cones or paint, to more quickly install different designs, and it also allows us the opportunity to test them out and reconfigure before moving forward into engineering and permanent construction. This is an illustration of a refuge island, which provides a person walking across the street a protected place to stop before continuing across that second lane of traffic. So you see on one side there's one that's just painted on the asphalt, and the second, thus, it has the raised curbs and is much more constructed with more permanent installation techniques. And then this is an illustration of intersection bulb out. So you can see in the demonstration project, it also provides an opportunity for placemaking and public art, whereas the permanent installation in this particular example incorporated in stormwater. The study area limits are from Bel Air Road to the south to North Myrtle Avenue to the north. It's approximately 3.2 miles and connects a variety of key destinations. We worked with a project visioning team made up of business owners, residents, local agencies, and city staff who have an interest in the corridor in the creation of these concepts. We did in our first meeting do a walk shop, taking the Jolly Trolley up and down the corridor, jumping out and getting to experience the environment and all the different segments firsthand. So a lot of feedback was given from the participants that really shaped the form of these ideas. We also set up a booth at Last Friday to talk with people and let them know about the project and let them know that we were conducting an online survey for the project. So in conjunction with the PVT, we established goals for each segment, such as improving connections across the corridor, beautifying the street space to attract investment, and creating a welcoming and economically vibrant downtown. Segment 1A is the portion between Bel Air Road and Bellevue Boulevard, which has 4 lanes. It's undivided, so there's no turn lane for people wishing to turn left currently. In the report, we use various icons to signify the type of design strategy that's proposed at a certain location. So in this segment, you'll see refuge islands are proposed at Wildwood Way, just south of Bel Air Road. And then a painted intersection could be used as part of placemaking efforts at Bellevue. In this segment, additionally, HDR evaluated a road diet to reconfigure the existing right-of-way to add a left turn lane and also use some of the space to add landscaped islands along the east side of the road, buffering some of the sidewalk and pedestrian activity where a lot of people were riding their bikes. The traffic volume and operational analysis of the proposed road diet showed that the level of service would decrease slightly during the evening peak hour travel, which was determined to be between 4 and 5 p.m. They looked at the impacts to the intersections of Bellevue and found that assuming a certain amount of growth over 20 years, and that 20 years is from 2020 to 2040, this intersection, the delay would increase from 3 seconds currently to about 7 seconds in 2040, which is considered to be negligible. Segment 1B extends from Bellevue Boulevard to Chestnut Street. This is the transition into downtown, and it also is where Morton Plant campus is. It currently is 3 lanes and contains mature trees, especially near the hospital campus. So these factors, like the current environment already provides a good sense of enclosure and character, and so not much change is actually needed in this area. Because it's already 3 lanes, the concept proposed some minor changes. You'll see the addition of a refuge island on Lakeview Road at the Pinellas Trail crossing. This is slightly off the main corridor, but is still part of that network system. Additionally, adding a refuge island and an RRFB north of Pine Street at Fort Harrison Avenue. This would support the pedestrian traffic near the Clearwater Historical Society Museum to and from there at that retail center as well. Locations can be shifted based on demonstration projects and as we move into final design as well. The landscape islands replace narrow on-street bike lanes, which helps to actually create an improved off-street facility with improved buffers and a wider Pinellas Trail along Fort Harrison Avenue. We're very fortunate to have the trail run either along parallel to Fort Harrison Avenue or just one as it veers just to a little bit to the east. That provides a very nice, comfortable ride for our bicyclists in this area. Moving into design in this particular segment, it's important to coordinate with Morton Plant because they have different operational demands of this corridor than some of the other users. Segment 2 is within our downtown core, and that's from Chestnut Street to Drew Street. There's a much higher pedestrian level of activity in this segment, and additionally, sidewalks are narrow in some locations. There are tripping hazards like high curbs and obstructions in the sidewalks, such as signs. The goals for this segment were to increase and improve public space and provide opportunities for landscaping and beautification. In this particular area, there's already a number of marked crossings, so the proposal is to add refuge islands at those existing Park and Franklin Street crossings. There are already RRFBs there. And then where there's an existing crossing at Hendricks, adding another RRFB, which are the blinky lights for those following along and unfamiliar with it. There's 2 alternatives proposed within this corridor that propose eliminating left turn lanes. This is the first one. This shows Fort Harrison looking north from Cleveland Street. Eliminating the left turn lane would free up some of the public right-of-way to reconfigure the curbs and widen the sidewalks. We can add parking to support the businesses on the west side of Fort Harrison Avenue, and those parking spaces could be used as parklets or outdoor dining space to support restaurants if they were in that area. These are options that we could easily test by using traffic cones to close off that left turn lane first and measure before moving forward with anything more permanent. The second alternative is to eliminate the northbound turn lane at Pier Street. Currently, the center turn lane is used for deliveries, and vehicles and delivery trucks often encroach there on the sidewalk on the west side. Removing the center turn lane frees up space to create a new drop-off and loading zone instead, pulling that into the street and not on the sidewalk. We understand, though, that this intersection is used by the residents of the Water's Edge condominium and others. These concepts were developed prior to the discussions related to a more permanent closure of Cleveland Street. And also the location of City Hall in this area. So while members of the PVT were supportive of this idea, the alternative, again, could be tested out. It could be potentially modified or even not implemented when moving forward with the plan and further designs. Segment 3 is the northernmost segment, and that runs from Drew Street to North Myrtle Avenue. When walking this segment, the PVT noted that the sidewalks are in relatively poor condition and are not buffered from the roadway, which makes walking somewhat unpleasant. The proposed changes in this area focus on beautifying the streetscape and attracting investment to achieve that future land use vision and the downtown plan, as well as the North Marina Area Master Plan. The narrowing of lanes for traffic calming and providing opportunities for the landscaping and beautification. At the southern end, the plan calls for adding limited landscape median islands where those turning movements are not needed between Drew and Eldridge. The main proposal for this segment is to utilize chicaning to slow traffic down to the posted speed limit. Adding mid-block bulb outs while maintaining the existing curb creates the chicaning movement, which encourages drivers not to speed. It also allows for landscaping to create larger buffers to the existing sidewalk, which should improve the pedestrian comfort along the corridor. It also creates opportunities for on-street parking to support businesses in the area. And that is my quick rundown of everything, so I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions for Ms. Matzke? Vice Mayor.
Yeah, could we do demonstration projects with most of that before we do any kind of permanent, just to make sure things work right?
Yes, that is absolutely feasible. Tara Kivett, engineering director, spoke at work session about the project that they're working on with public utilities to do a much more robust overhaul of the area. And one of the things that we've discussed in detail would be having someone help us design the demonstration projects at the beginning of that concept planning or that design project. Yeah. So that would allow us, several years to test things out, because you can easily remove paint. It's a lot more expensive to remove curbing.
Right. Other questions? What are the costs of doing the demonstration? And who are going to pick those up?
I'm sorry, what was the second part?
If we do trials in several segments, what is the rough cost? Have we determined that? And if so, who is paying for it?
We have not determined that, because it really would depend on, oh, hello, Elliot.
And there's Elliot.
Good evening, Elliot Schobert, the Assistant Director of the Engineering Department. We don't expect it to be very expensive to do paint and things like that. Okay. We're hoping to be able to work with in-house traffic ops folks to do that. They're going to assess the level of effort needed from what comes forward, and we'll see if we can do it with in-house staff. If not, we'll go outside. But I mean, I would imagine more than a couple $100,000 for the entire stretch, and I'm shooting very high.
And what are going to be, I mean, have there been some thresholds that have been determined to consider it successful or not successful?
No, we have not gotten there yet, but we can find a way to account for that.
I mean, I would assume you're going to create that before you try the demonstrations, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure how we'll gauge that, but we'll have to come up with something.
Okay. The only other comment I'd like to make about Fort Harrison is, when we swapped Fort Harrison and Myrtle between the state and the city, I thought it was a great idea. I still do. I just wish we would also work on pushing people over to Myrtle, because it is really more suitable for moving more traffic with 4 full lanes. My only hesitation about that is that we're moving people further east from the core of the downtown. So, but I think most of the people that travel on both streets are pretty familiar. They just have chosen, to take Fort Harrison for one reason or another. The other thing is there's some dips on Myrtle that we talked about that really we need to kind of push. I guess they're not on FDOT's radar, but
The dips south of,
south, for instance, of Turner on
that's actually the
southbound.
city street at that point.
It is.
We've been in there once before.
Ellie, you need to fix the dip.
Yes, we are going to get back on it.
Okay.
It's already
So that's
been passed.
just settlement?
You know, I'm honestly, I'm not sure because we went in and fixed a storm pipe that had some, that was taking some dirt in around some of the inlets, and now the road is sinking again. So, we may even have to do an open cut to get down to figure out what's going on there.
Okay.
But that's on our radar because with the Fort Harrison project moving forward, we need to make sure that Fort Harrison is in a top, that Myrtle is in top shape.
Any other questions or comments?
You can drive a car with higher clearance.
I may be forced to. Thank you. Anyone from the public speak to this item? Have a motion?
I move to approve agenda item 9.2.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Ms. Aiken?
Resolution number 20-37, a resolution of the City of Clearwater, Florida, approving the Fort Harrison Avenue Complete Streets Study Final Report, a Complete Streets concept plan for Fort Harrison Avenue from Bel Air Road to North Myrtle Avenue, providing an effective date.
Do I have a motion?
Oh, motion to approve agenda item 9.2.
Resolution 20.
Sorry,
dash
resolution
37.
20
No
dash
problem. I can't make it though, so.
Oh, a second.
Yeah. Do you want me to make it again?
Yeah, please.
Okay, formally. Move to adopt resolution 20-37.
Second again.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 9.3.
Appoint one member to the Environmental Advisory Board with a term to expire October 31st, 2024. Council members, in your agenda packs, you have applications from Sheila Sullivan, David Farrar, Martin Armstrong, Nils Kushta, Nicholas Master, Dina Stanley, Erica Escamilla, Glenna Wentworth, and Mohammed Abdul Rahim and Helen Amberby for your consideration. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Call? Discussion, or do I have a motion to approve one of the candidates?
I do have one e-comment if you guys want me to read that while you're...
Please.
A comment was submitted by Barbara Fisher. I strongly support the appointment of Glenna Wentworth to the Environmental Advisory Board.
She was who I was hoping for, but as you know, I can't make a motion, so.
Well, I move we appoint Glenna Wentworth to the Environmental Advisory Board.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Item 9.4.
Appoint one member to the Nuisance Abatement Board to fill the remainder of an unexpired term through August 31st, 2023. Council members, in your agenda pack, you had applications for Jacqueline Sandifer, Frank Persicino, and Leslie Coley for your consideration.
Well, I can make a motion to, I wanted to appoint, I make a motion to appoint Leslie Coley. I know we talked about her zip code being similar to others on the board. But I do know Leslie. I think she'd do a great job. I think she brings some diversity, and so that's why I'm supporting her.
I agree, and I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Mr. Graham, 9.5. We need to move this up to the front of the meeting. This takes 60 seconds. I'd like to send this gentleman home earlier.
Confirm COVID-19 emergency proclamation and adopt resolution 20-62.
Good evening.
Mr.
Sorry.
Assistant Chief Grant.
Good evening, Vaughn Graham, Division Chief of Emergency Management. This is our weekly extension of the emergency proclamation. as we are still in the midst of COVID and starting to deal with our second peak, which is mimicking very closely to the one we had in early July, or late July rather. So we just want to remind people we're at about 32,984 cases as of this morning, 911 deaths. Our healthcare system is beginning to get taxed due to this other peak and this other rise in cases. And so as a community, just reminding those who are watching especially that we need to continue the social distancing. If we are doing social activities, do them responsibly, work with smaller groups, and also wear masks, protect each other. Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Graham? Chief, before we approve this, would you come up real quick? We did have a press conference today with the sheriff and the county administrator, the chair of the county commission, Mayor Kreisman, and myself. And I think the chief is completely on board with what the sheriff would like to do, which is crack down a little bit on some of the bad actors.
Yeah, Dan Slaughter, Chief of Police. We had a conference call later this afternoon. I didn't get to watch the press conference, but we will be coordinating a countywide effort to post all of the bars and restaurants and remind them of the county restrictions that are included in the county emergency order, which requires restaurants to have spacing between their groups of patrons of 6 feet, and that all patrons that are receiving, drinks or food have to be seated to be served, and all the staff at the restaurants and bars will need to wear face coverings as well. We were doing pretty aggressive checks early on in this endeavor when the peak first happened, and as the numbers came down and some of the other orders modified, we had kind of dialed that back and focused our efforts on the testing sites. But we will continue doing or start doing spot checks as early as probably Saturday, and just more of an education and ask for compliance than any type of enforcement campaign.
So the governor's directive doesn't allow us to enforce against individuals, but it does against businesses.
You could write an ordinance to an entity, and I think from our experience, even in the first wave, I think we'll get from most of our business owners, at least in Clearwater, most of our business owners are very responsible, and I think we'll get pretty good compliance. But you can write a citation to the entity, to the business, and make the business financially obligated to satisfy it.
I mean, unfortunately, everybody, it's kind of like somebody that goes on a medication. The medication works, they feel better, and then they decide to not use the medication anymore because they're doing great. And they find out why they're doing great, which is the medication. We can't let our guard down. We're in the 7th inning of this thing. At least we see the end of the game as hopefully, in our future, but let's not let our guard down. We should care too much about our fellow man, the people we love, and, take care of ourselves too. So, gentlemen, I thank you both, and look forward to you guys being out there and just at least making people aware. Do you have something else, Mr. Graham?
I had a
question. Yeah, I got you.
Sorry. The 6 feet apart, is that tables outside?
It is.
Okay, so individual tables outside need to be 6 feet apart from each other.
Groups of people need to be separated by 6 feet, whether they're indoors or outdoors.
Okay.
And workers at restaurants and bars ought to be wearing masks indoors and outdoors. So they don't get the choice.
Good to know. Thank you.
Anything else? Need a motion.
Move approval of agenda item 9.5.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Ms. Aiken.
Resolution number 20-62, confirmation of COVID-19 emergency proclamation, December 3rd, 2020. A resolution of the City of Clearwater, Florida, confirming declarations of a state of emergency, providing an effective date.
Anyone to speak to the resolution? I have a motion.
Move to adopt resolution 20-62.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Anything else, Mr. Horn?
No, I have one suggestion later on, but not for this.
Okay. Ms. Aiken?
No, sir.
Okay. Other council action. We talked about the statement for the beach on Monday. Joelle and the staff has shrunk the original statement down to, I think, a more manageable size, and yet kept the essence of what we were desiring. I don't know what your thoughts are on this.
I like it. Like you got welcome in there, which is good. And it's less to read. I think more people will probably pay attention to this than something longer.
Anybody else?
I like it. Now, what about the actual, like I mentioned at the work session Monday, table tents for the tables. Does the city print those up, or can we approach, would Ocean Allies, and maybe I need to talk to Sherry Holman specifically, because we might be able to make contact with like Great Bay distributors, and Great Bay may be willing to print these type of things up for Clearwater Beach and distribute them to the businesses. But Joelle is coming up.
Joelle Castelli, Public Communications Director. We can print them up, we can design them, but I would assume Ocean Allies would want to do that and would want to have a part in that and then distribute it to their partners and get everybody to be on board. We even thought of placemats where someone could sign it, and it's something while they're sitting there actively looking at it and they can sign the bottom of their placemat. But it would be incumbent upon them to tell us what they would want to do since it's their project.
Okay, well, I would say, let's be in contact with them, and, they should have a say in it without a doubt, but, and I think Sherry probably knows as well, Great Bay does a lot of in-house printing, and something of this nature is something they may be willing to get behind and help out with certain, placemats are one thing. Great Bay doesn't print placemats. Great Bay does print table tents and things, so, okay, I think we're on the right track, no doubt.
So I was going to reach out to Sherry tomorrow to talk about this language, just to make sure that they would approve it.
Mm-hmm.
And then go from there. If we wanted to print the materials, we'd obviously have to look at what the budget would be. They'd only last so long.
Mm-hmm.
So, other questions or comments?
It looks good.
Somebody want to make a motion to accept the language?
I will make that motion. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Great. Thank you. 11.2, replace Go Vote banner with positive messages. Councilmember Beckman. Or do we want to go to the vice mayor for the big reveal? No, you go ahead, Councilmember Beckman.
Well, I had proposed, first of all, I had proposed to replace the Go Votes banner with Go Vote during election season, and you all thought that was an okay idea, so we put that up there. I think it was well received. And then, and now that election season is over, it looks pretty naked up there, and I thought that there was an opportunity to put something positive up there. So I came up with some 2-word kind of inspirational suggestions that I shared with you all before Monday's meeting and then Monday's meeting. And part of our discussion on Monday was that it's a governmental building and that any messages have to be related to civic behavior or engagement. So the Go Vote is fine. But supporting professional ball teams isn't really part of government behavior. So Go Bolts or Go Rays or whatever. So that's kind of interesting. That was an interesting learning. And then as I drove by there, I drive by there every day over that bridge. I was noticing the architecture is there are these, looks like 3-foot little columns all the way across. And I thought, well, how about if we do it rainbow colors and make it just look attractive? Because it's a pretty ugly building on that side, I think. Is that what you were thinking? Is that your big reveal?
Can I talk to you about my big reveal right now?
Well, let me make a suggestion on a message that's relevant. Pam and I at breakfast this morning were talking about it, and she made a great suggestion that we use mask up as a message.
I thought we talked and you thought that was a little controversial.
I think it may be controversial. That doesn't mean I don't think it's a good message.
Yeah.
Especially now with the conversation and the message that came from the county today.
Yeah, and our stats. Yeah.
Do I think some people will hate it? Yes, I do. I doesn't mean it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
So can it say mask up in big letters and we'll put a please, real small underneath it, please? Mask up, please, you know, and it just.
3 words? I don't know.
The third word's gotta be really small, but.
Okay. For the moment you have all been waiting for since Monday.
All right, so I said I had a solution to the problem of what kind of signage we should do there. I'm going to give you a little history lesson. I was the first one to bring up, back before Harborview Center came down, to demo City Hall. I was pushing that, and at the time, the staff said, well, you know, we may have an interest in it for a public amenity, possibly a museum. So I backed off. I said, okay, well, let's see what that is. Now, that was 2 years ago. We still have an ugly building sitting there. Nothing's been decided. But here's my issue. This month, we have a very important RFP, and we're going to be looking at it probably next meeting to approve it. Now, we have to be very specific about this RFP. This is a very important part of Imagine Clearwater. We can't just put it out there, and I think that leaving the city hall there and telling a developer, hey, you know, if you can come with an idea to, maybe we can do something public with this, maybe we won't, maybe you could use it for something, but maybe we'll have a museum there, I think clouds that issue. I think it would be a lot better, and I'm back on track myself 100% with actually just demoing City Hall. Get it down. You know, the reason I wanted to get it down in the first place is it showed the public that we were serious about moving forward on Imagine Clearwater. I mean, when we decided we moved out of there because there was a lot of problems with the building, it was cheaper for us to actually move and go downtown because of just getting out of that building. We weren't the first council to talk about this. This has been talked about, Bill, you can chime in, since maybe the 80s, I don't know, but it goes way back.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So my biggest thing with Imagine Clearwater is making sure that we have a successful RFP. We get great ideas and something that'll be, you know, when we go for the referendum that's going to sell our public that, yes, that's a great idea. And I think because now we kind of have this maybe and maybe not kind of thing, I'm going to make a motion. I couldn't do it Monday, so that's why I'm doing it now. I'm going to make a motion that we demo City Hall, knock it down, get it ready for the RFP, and go out of this year, 2020, go into 2021 with a great RFP and really hope that we can get some great ideas. And anyway, I'm going to put the motion out. If it dies with no second, then at least I've had my say.
Do I have a second for discussion?
I will second for discussion.
Okay.
I don't disagree with you. I've always been, and I've had this conversation or made this statement before. I'm going to come at it from both ways, which I'm famous for doing. But you know, part of me wants that building to stay up so that when the RFP goes out, I think the message needs to be clear with absolutely no misinterpretation that that building is coming down for the new, whatever the new concept is going there. But right now, that is blocking any type of view at the present time. If we tear it down now, we're going to create some sort of view looking westward. Now, to me, it's almost an easier sell if you've got a building there and you say, this is what's there now, this is what's going to be there with the new project. But I can tell you that that building that's standing there now is not going to be part of the new project. That is, I would, that building has no, it takes up the most important part of that piece of property. And I don't think it needs to be there. And the more I think about it, and I've had this, this thought has gone through my mind a number of times over the last couple of years. As long as the message is clear that this is going to be, we're going to redevelop this property, we're looking for opportunities to redevelop this property, I'm not sure the building standing really makes that much difference, as long as everybody, knows that it's not going to stay an open, with nothing on it. There is going to be something built there. So I can support demoing the building, but I've got to know how much it's going to cost and where the money's going to come from. But for the purpose of tonight, I'd be willing to move this to the next step to get those numbers, find out what the cost is, and where the money's going to come from to do it.
Councilmember Bunker or Beckman?
Well, to me, it has historic value from the time when Scientology snuck into town and Gabe Casares fought back against them. And the 1982 hearings that were held about Scientology in the building. I hate to see that go, but I think if Gabe was still here, he'd probably say, yeah, it makes sense to tear it down and keep the fight going, but have a view for whoever is going to build something new.
Councilmember Beckman?
Well, that's a whole lot there. It's a whole lot more than just painting it like a rainbow. Make it look nice, isn't it?
Takes that out of the equation, doesn't it?
Depends on how quickly you act.
Save on paint.
Pardon? You save on
Save
paint?
on paint.
Well, there are a couple things. First of all, I find it interesting that Councilmember Hamilton is adamant that the building is coming down. You need to be specific that that building's not going to be there. Well, if that building's not going to be there and we're putting out an RFP, either it's part of the RFP that you will remove that building, or we remove it first before we put out an RFP, right? Because if we're putting out an RFP with that building and it says you must remove that building, if I were a developer, I'd be like, you remove it. If you want it down, why am I paying for you to?
Oh, I don't disagree. I think without a doubt, we're going to be responsible for taking it down. And when you look at it that way, from a business standpoint, it's never going to be cheaper to take it down than it is right now. If you wait 6 months, it's going to be more expensive 6 months from now than it is to right now to take it down. So.
Well, and then your comment about the cost, I think that's very important. So I think we need to, you would need to have information about how much does it cost to demo it and haul it away. How much are we paying on, maintenance right now and insurance and heating and cooling and all that? How much have we sunk in there? And I would have to do just a little bit of research, like, have other developers used old buildings that look like that in some way or not? Has anybody done it, or are most of them just want to level it? I think it would look better leveled because it's just empty right now, but I'd want to know the numbers, and then I'd want to know, like, what's the rush? We've heard from multiple people tonight about the needs, the social needs in our community. And so if we're going to spend, I don't know if it's $500,000 to demo a building, do we really have to do that?
It's about $3 a square foot.
Okay.
To demo it. I think the building's 18,000 square feet.
I don't know. Michael?
So we demoed Harborview for 1.75 million, right around there. Engineering tells me that this should be a less intense demolition than that one. However, that was, about 2 years ago, so the prices have likely changed. So we're not really sure where it's going to land, but, probably going to be below that 1.75. Asbestos review has been completed. We did that when we did the Harborview. asbestos review. So that's been completed, so that.
Is there remaining asbestos?
What's that?
Is there remaining asbestos?
I think there was a little bit, but most of it was in the harbor view.
Okay.
So we would cough up 1.5 million or so to demo it right now, just to make it look
Not
more
even close to
attractive?
that price.
Or no?
It'd be 60,000 maybe.
Oh, that's it?
Oh, no.
I think it's gonna be a little higher now, but.
For what's that? I didn't hear.
60?
The demo, the building?
The haul, I mean,
Yeah.
not
20,000
tear
times
and haul it away and everything.
I
think you're looking at more.
18,000, you said times 3.
That's
I
what we gotta get-
thought when we were looking at replacing City Hall, we went from, and I could be wrong, but I thought it was 18,000, which we had, and we wanted to go to 24,000 square feet. Back when we had City Hall and Penny 2, remember?
Yeah.
I thought we wanted to get to 24,000 square feet for the new City Hall. What is the proposal for
Well,
the
I
new
mean,
city?
The feasibility was, we ended up around 33,000, as I
Really?
recall.
Correct.
Yeah.
In the new City
In the new
Hall
city hall,
plans?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, with chambers.
I'm talking back
Back.
in the day.
Yeah, that one was around 24,000 if I remember correctly.
That's what I just said. Yeah, I thought it was 24, but
Well, I think in the vein of transparency, I think the public needs to know what we're paying every month or year to have that building standing there. So I think that's a good,
We can
Bit of
get that
information.
information fairly easily.
yeah.
Yeah, they know that, because that's why we moved out.
well, and that's kind of one of the points. I agree with you with getting rid of the building in that we've said it's uninhabitable. If it wasn't uninhabitable, it should never have moved out
Right.
and be renting over in the 600 building. But there were a lot of employees that felt like it was a sick building. We put a lot of money in it with a lot of Band-Aids over the years because it was in the different pennies, and each council decided, like in 2008, when we needed penny for other things, that was one of the first things on the chopping block, was a new city hall. And so we continued to use, bubble gum and rubber bands to hold the place together. I mean, we finally had to put some money into the elevators, and they were so old, they were hard to get parts and everything else for. Some, I think we had problems with the chiller at one point, and we had to replace that. So there was significant money that went in, but my point of view is, we're never going back there. I can't imagine it's a hideous building, by the way. I mean, if you've spent enough time in it, it's really a pretty hideous building. I mean, to have the beautiful views that it does and not have windows for the most part on the first and second floor, it's just a hideous design.
You're gonna get a nasty email.
I know,
Okay.
I know.
From one of our county commissioners.
Hopefully she isn't
whose father
watching.
was the architect of
I
the
know
building.
I know he was.
Yeah, but wait,
It was a cool building in 1964.
yeah,
but-
it was. It was, that was the kind of architecture there, but, the view you're gonna have when you knock it down is of the bridge.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
But I mean, yeah, and development of that property, with, especially when we're able to incorporate the new county, limits and everything, with almost basically an unlimited height allowance on that property and everything, you can, you can create quite
Oh,
the,
absolutely, over the top of the
you
bridge.
can create the,
But I just think, look, I was a contractor for a long time, and my vision is, if you knock it down and you take pictures and throw in that RFP, hey, here's the lot, we got 2.5 acres. Give us your best shot. It's right on a bluff, on the water. It's right down in our, park that we're spending millions for. I think it'd be a plus for the RFP. Plus, it shows Clearwater, yeah, we're moving forward. I mean, how long we've been talking, 10 years about this park? I can't get any vertical stuff going, so I know demo is just the opposite of vertical, but at least it's a start. That's the way I look at it.
I would suggest you amend the motion to direct staff to go back and get some numbers, because we do need to know how much it would cost. I think it is more attractive if the building isn't there for the development community. as long as the price tag isn't enormous. Otherwise, then we build it into the RFP process.
Right.
Which means we may get more incentives for that site because there's the demolition costs. I mean, there's a number of ways you can work the deal, but my suggestion would be, and again, I can't make a motion, but
I'll modify
let the
mine.
staff go ahead and get some numbers, get some time frames, if there's any other trap doors that we're unaware of, and for the time being, put mask up, please, on the city hall site.
Yeah, because it's not coming down tomorrow, no matter what.
Yeah, it's gonna
So
take a little bit.
I'll give you a little, I was in North Carolina for Thanksgiving, and all over Cashers, they have these signs that says, grin and bear it. They have a bear with a mask on. And that was put up by the Chamber of Commerce or the government there, which I thought was kind of cute. But, you know, you could do something along that line, and that would be fun.
Councilmember Bunker?
As a cheaper alternative, can we put up the mask up sign and see if an angry mob just tears it down for free?
I'm all for it.
Okay, so I'll amend my motion to directing staff to give us some numbers on what the demolition would be, and if there's any other things we need to know about, talking about finally taking City Hall down, and give us another chance to all bring that back, and we'll discuss it and vote at that point.
I will second that.
Any other questions or comments?
As long as the numbers are, you said anything related to the demolition of the building, so that would be maintaining it cost right now as is and all that stuff, just have it all laid out to make a good judgment.
I have motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Okay.
Are we moving forward with the mask up?
I think everyone's comfortable with that.
Everybody like that?
Yes.
Go for it.
Okay. I did get a email today about a letter or a resolution, to be more specific, to the state on the behalf of the city council, supporting Dunedin's and the county's move to try to buy the Hackworth property. And I wondered if there was any interest in that. I think they're going to Florida forever is the fund they're trying to tap into. I've been trying to get some more information about process, because if it's got to go through the legislative process, you know, good luck. That's going to take a while. And that's really not the time frame they've been given. So if you are interested, we can have staff work up some language for next meeting, and then we can get it up to Tallahassee.
Yeah.
I'm fully in favor of that.
Absolutely. I have no problem with that at all.
I did talk to Art Cater. We don't have any grant applications.
Competitive,
Yeah.
right. Okay, and I don't think they're going through a normal grant process. They're trying to dip into the Florida Forever trust fund, because that's the only way you're gonna get the money quick. And even then, I think the county will have to front it and then get reimbursed, is what I found out, so. So any other questions about that? You said yes, sir.
Oh, not about that. I have one other thing when you're done.
Okay, go ahead.
I was at yesterday's Big C, which is the Barrier Island Government Council meeting, and I think we've all seen on the news and whatnot about the sand accretion problem at Johns Pass Village.
Yeah.
The Big C is asking all of its member cities to draft individual letters to send to Chairman Eggers with the county commission, and if we want to craft one, just to send to Mayor Hendricks at Madeira Beach to say, hey, we got your back, kind of thing. We're there, you know, we support all your efforts, and we're behind you, and also, and send that letter to Mr. Eggers. I have a formula. I think we've all you may have all gotten it in an email. I don't know how you all are, but I don't want to send a photocopy of this and just change the names on it. you know, I think as a lot of us sometimes, all right, I've read this letter 100 times, I don't need to read the whole body of it. I'd like us to draft one that's specific from us for either the mayor, the city manager, or both of them to sign, if everybody's agreeable to that. We'll have, Bill, do you want any specific person in staff to draft that letter, or?
I'll work with Rose.
With Rose? Okay.
We'll get.
Yeah, Rose is our,
I thought you would from your bed, you know.
well, I'm not doing anything else.
Okay.
Depends on
No.
my state of mind.
Yeah, I don't think so. All right. Well, I think everybody's in favor of that.
Yeah.
See,
Okay.
you had another issue?
No, mascot was mine.
We covered it? Oh, okay. Very good.
Pam and I.
All right. Anything else from staff? Okay. Council member closing comments? Start from my left this week.
Okay. So I wanted to take my time tonight to thank all those residents who applied for the advisory boards. I've noticed that we've had more and more people applying, and we've had some very impressive applicants. So it's great to see how many people are willing to volunteer their time and expertise to help. And I wanted to mention at our last city council meeting, we met with the most recent graduates of the Clearwater Citizens Academy before our meeting. And we were there to learn about their impressions of the program and then to answer any questions that they had. And one of the questions someone had was about wanting to serve on the advisory boards and how there weren't enough openings, or they weren't chosen, or whatever. And so we had responses that ranged from, please be patient, continue to apply. I offered that people can still engage with the boards, go to the board meetings, offer suggestions, participate, come and speak to us, write individually to us, advocate for what they care about. And then Mr. Horn offered a phenomenal suggestion from his years of experience, but he suggested, join a nonprofit, any kind of group or organization that's out there in our community. And I just thought that is perfect, because there are so many. And so I would say to people who applied for the nuisance abatement or the environmental advisory, there's the Sierra Club, there's Audubon Society, there's the Tampa Bay Estuary Program, there's the Guardian Ad Litem, there's the YMCA, there's the Salvation Army, there's foster kids who age out of foster care, there's HEP, there's St. Vincent de Paul, there's Peace Memorial, there's the Clearwater Going Home Coalition. There are almost thousands of different organizations that you can join and use your talents, and you do not have to wait for a city advisory board. And let me tell you, being on a board sometimes is frustrating, because you can't, and I'm on the Affordable Housing Advisory Board, so I'm up here with other like-minded individuals, and we can't have conversations except up here. And so to me, it's pretty frustrating that you limit your ability to really learn and work with some people when you are on a board. And so I would say you've got just as much power out in, not sitting up here on a board. And so don't be dissuaded, but get out and get involved. And I would say now more than ever, I'm just going to say I can't finish this tonight because it's a rough night, but get involved. Just get involved.
Thank you, Councilmember Beckman. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I talked last meeting about AVA, the autonomous bus that's PSTA has started in St. Pete. It's a three-month pilot program, and I was at a PSTA meeting yesterday, and it was just wanted to read some facts. It was kind of amazing. It started November 25th. It runs through February the 15th. And then hopefully from there, Clearwater will get it for 3 months. And then after Clearwater, it goes up toward Dunedin. But this is what's in the news. It's what everybody reads about. The future of travel probably will be autonomous vehicles. And I mean, they're already saying that in a year they've already got pilot vehicles out there, but they'll start mass producing in about a year or two. But they, Ava's their small little bus that runs from Dolly Museum to the Vinoy. And during the Thanksgiving weekend, they had 397 riders, just on the weekend. So it's, it goes very slow back and forth, but if you want to see what an autonomous vehicle feels and looks like, go see it. And it's free. The hours are Wednesday through Sunday, 10 a.m. through to 10 p.m. It runs back and forth along the bay. I'm going to run down and probably see it this weekend, but I tell you, I'm really looking forward to coming to Clearwater. I think it'll be a really nice program here. And it's free. There's no fee or anything, just go down and get a sample. So that's all I want to say.
Thank you. Councilmember Hamilton.
I really don't have a whole lot other than everybody be, we've got about 3 weeks till Christmas. This is the holiday season. Keeping your heart and in your minds that there's a lot of people out there that aren't as fortunate as a lot of us, and do your part to try and spread a little Christmas cheer every chance you get.
Councilmember Bunker.
And while we are seeing a potential end to the pandemic, things are still going to get worse. And with the spike after Thanksgiving, we just know that it's going to spike again with Christmas coming up. And when we spiked in the past, we were a rare hot zone in the country. Now the entire country is a hot zone. So we really need to pay attention and be in our best behavior and think of each other. I also just wanted to mention that with Leah Remini's Scientology in the Aftermath on Netflix, I'm finding a lot of people are calling me here at the work number and sharing their stories and asking questions. And it's really nice that people are reaching out and they've cared about that. I'm always happy to talk to anyone anytime.
Thank you. All right. Downtown Clearwater Holiday Extravaganza. From now until December 23rd, Downtown Clearwater will celebrate the city's annual holiday extravaganza. The city will be reimagining events to allow for social distancing and will be requiring masks for attendees. Please keep a safe distance and come and enjoy yourself. These include many things. First of all, flock a yard. They've already been on Myrtle Avenue and Cleveland Street. We're going to have it on December 9th at Peace Memorial, December 11th at the main fire station on Court Street, and December 14th on Harborview site. And then December 16th at the Red Royal Electric site on True Street. December 5th, 12th, 19th at 6 p.m., Clearwater Jazz Holiday presents Wanderlust, an outdoor music event series at Station Square Park, 612 Cleveland Street. Tickets are available for purchase at clearwaterjazz.com. Teresa and I went for that last Saturday, and it was dynamite. Station Square is a really nice venue for it, and the acoustics are better than you think. I could only make it through half because I was sitting, but it was still really nice. December 5th at 6 p.m., free outdoor holiday movie night with a screening of Abominable at 301 Pier Street. On December 11th at 6 p.m., join the City of Clearwater's Community Redevelopment Agency and Main Library on December 11th for a virtual watercolor holiday card making class with artist Sean Del Joyce. December 12th at 6 p.m., free outdoor holiday movie night with a screening of The Lion King, again at 301 Pierce. Registration for events will be required because we are going to limit how many people avail themselves of that. Registration for winter holiday camps at Clearwater's Parks and Recreation Facilities is underway. Holiday camps are Session 1, December 21st to the 24th. No camp, obviously, on December 25th. And Session 2, December 28th to the 31st. No camp on New Year's Day. Those are starting at $72 per session. Camp hours vary at each location. Visit myclearwaterparks.com for more information. The Clearwater Community Garden Grant Program. The City of Clearwater has created a community garden grant program in efforts to support existing community gardens and to encourage new ones to develop. Nonprofit and neighborhood groups are encouraged to apply for the upcoming fiscal year at myclearwater.com/community gardens. The Clearwater Public Library Food for Fines program. This is a great one. The Clearwater Public Library System is offering amnesty for those with overdue materials in exchange for a donation of non-perishable foods now through Thursday, December 24th. Bring in non-perishable food items for donation along with your overdue items to a Clearwater Library location and have your overdue fines waived. All donations will be given to local food banks. And I also want to give a special shout out to Salvation Army. I will disclose that my wife works for them. But as you see the red kettles out this year, there is a little caveat. There has been a gift of $250,000 this year that is a match for every penny that goes in those kettles. So up to the first $250,000, a very gracious family, the Stone Family Foundation, who used to own Stone Buick right here on Cleveland Street, have made that gift. So please avail yourself of that. There are a lot of people that will benefit from it, and it may mean the difference between a Merry Christmas and a very sad one. With that, we are all finished. We thank you for tuning in. God bless you, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.